I'm Anil Kumar, sharing with you an excellent question from a test paper. The question here is, write domain range of the inverse of f of x, where f of x is this square root function. Find inverse of f of x equals to square root of minus x plus 5 minus 3. I've kind of flipped these statements. So basically we are working with the function f of x equals to square root of minus x plus 5 minus 3. We need to find its inverse and domain range of the inverse of this function, right? You will notice here that the test is on quadratic functions, but the function given to us is square root function. They are very much related, as you know, right? So now let's see how to solve such a question. Now, since I've written domain and range of the inverse of this function first, it is with a purpose. I'll share that with you now. Function is, we are given the function f of x as equals to square root of minus x plus 5 minus 3, correct? Let's find domain and range for this function. If you try to sketch this function, then you should actually factor out this minus and write it as x minus 5 within square root n minus 3. That should give you approximate domain range. Now that means reflection on y-axis, right? So basically if you have a function here and if you need to sketch this, then the square root function, which is kind of like this, is reflected and is moved 5 units right and 3 down. So it's kind of like this, right? So it's kind of like this. That is how, not going through 0, of course. 0 will be when this is 3, the whole thing, or this inside is 9. So at this point, intercept will be at 4, okay? Minus 4, I should say. Okay, anyway. So that is how the function is. Now from here you can always write domain and range, or you could also write domain range from the inside value. So let me use that, which is minus x plus 5 should be greater than equal to 0, right? So if you rearrange, you get 5 should be greater than equal to x, or you can say x is less than equals to 5. Right? So this point is 5 here. So that becomes the domain for the function, right? So this is the domain. Let's write down domain here. The range for the function is moving upwards from minus 3. So we say range is y is greater than equal to minus 3, correct? So we get domain range of the function. Now the question here is, write domain range of inverse function. Do you see that? So when you do inverse, then the domain and range flips. Range becomes the domain and domain becomes range. Do you see that? So for inverse of the function, what is going to be the domain and what is going to be the range? So for inverse function, they are going to flip. So the domain is going to be greater than minus 3. So x belongs to real numbers where x is greater than equal to minus 3. That will become the domain for the inverse function, and the domain of the function becomes the range. So the range will be y belongs to real numbers where y is less than equal to 5. Do you see that? So from the domain and range of the function, we get domain range of inverse function by flipping. So this is what I wanted to share with you in this video. And now this information is going to help us to find inverse of the function, right? So normally in the test papers, the question is kind of like this. First you have to find inverse, then write down domain range. It becomes tricky if we do like that. Anyway, let's do the second part now. That is to find inverse of f of x equals to square root of minus x plus 5 minus 3. To find inverse we have to swap x and y. So I could write this as x is equals to square root of minus y plus 5 minus 3. So let's rearrange. We get x plus 3 equals to square root of minus y plus 5. And now we'll square. So we get x plus 3 whole square equals to minus y plus 5. And we can bring y this side. And we get minus x plus 3 whole square plus 5, right? So that becomes the function inverse of the function. So we write f inverse of the function is minus x plus 3 whole square plus 5, correct? So that becomes the inverse. Normally, every student will do something like this and come to this place and write this as your answer. If you write that as your answer, it is going to be incorrect. You know why? Because this is a quadratic function and the domain of the quadratic function has no restrictions. You get it? This inverse function here has no restriction. Range is okay. We are getting less than 5. That is correct. Negative means opening downwards, right? Opening downwards, kind of like this, right? That is what we expect. But this is having no restrictions. Now, if you have done this first, you know very clearly that the x value should be greater than minus 3. So we have to put that restriction here, that this is valid only when x is greater than or equal to minus 3. That means we are only seeing the right side of the parabola, not the left part. You get an idea, right? So what we are looking at, the right side, not the left part. Do you see that? So that is the inverse function. It is because of this that, we went round about all this to give you a concept. So if you have to find inverse of this, it is very important to include restriction on domain and then write down your answer. So that becomes the answer for inverse, correct? And this is the answer for domain and range. I'm Anil Kumar, and I hope that helps. You can always share and subscribe my videos to learn a lot. Thank you and all the best.